Several years ago, there was one of those "what's a secret you'll take to the grave" posts. A poster told a story about their abusive and horrid father and how said father had a heart attack while poster was present. As he/she told it, they recognized what was happening as dad was struggling to get up and to reach for the phone saying help. The poster grabbed the phone, took a few steps back and simply said no, watched him die on the floor. That's very difficult to respond to. Definitely nothing funny about this one. Essentially, the dad was abusive, he had a heart attack, the person who he abused was present for the heart attack, and they didn't want to save him because of the abuse they had suffered.
Great Con 7 commented, I actually remember reading a story on Ask Reddit when I first joined around 5 years back. The thread itself might have been even older, I don't know, but it really creeps me out. I'm hoping someone can remember and link it because I still haven't found it after a lot of researching. So basically, a family was on a road trip and they were driving on a countryside road at night when they saw a person with a broken car signaling them to stop. That's a bad sign right there. Don't do that, especially at night. But the dad who was driving had a gut feeling something was wrong and kept driving. There you go. Thank you, man. After they drove away from the scene, the kids or the wife, not sure, looked back and saw a group of people rising from the field where they were hiding. The thought of what might have happened if they stopped was terrifying. That is terrifying. I'm so glad that dad did not stop. Even I, reading this, I knew something bad was gonna happen. So clearly that was just a whole plot. That this man was like, oh, come help me, my car is broken down. And then they stop and people jump them or take their car or who knows.
That's some cursed. Reddit to me is like the dark web. I've seen some really truly on Reddit, and this is one of them. Actually, I do like eyeballs. I don't know what I was gonna say. They seem okay, I just don't like them together. I mean, they should be separate on your face, not all together, loose and touching each other. Whispers. My best friend confided in me one day about one of her worries. She told me about how, in middle of the night, she would keep hearing whispers in her bedroom. These whispers repeat the same number over and over, but each night the number would become one lower. A few weeks later, on Tuesday, my friend told me that the numbers were getting lower and lower. It was due to be the number 7 that night. My friend had no idea what these whispers were counting down to, but she had told me how anxious she had been feeling ever since the whispers started several months ago. It's Wednesday today, my friend isn't in school, she didn't tell me that she was going to be absent, and then I realized last night the voices would have been whispering the number 0. They wouldn't have been whispering 0, they would have been killing her. No, it's like the ring, you know, counting down. 7 days you'll see the ring. In 7 days, you'll... 7 days. But anyway, she's dead.
There was a woman on Reddit who posted a bunch of recordings of her sleeping, but then realized, thanks to comments, that someone was watching her in her sleep. No, that is my worst nightmare. Oh my god. She got tipped off by the sounds of something clicking, and then later someone talking to her while she was sleeping. That is so creepy. So like, was somebody breaking into her apartment and just like breathing over her and watching her sleeping, or what? But I heard this story before and I listened to the recording and it's absolutely terrifying. Thank God that somebody commented that, hey, you may have someone breaking into your house watching you sleep. Because that was actually the case. So far, these Reddit posts seem to be useful. Don't stop in the middle of the night, somebody signaling down your car. And maybe have a sleep app to see if somebody is, you know, entering your house and sneaking around while you're sleeping.
Oh my god, it's like the OG Joker. What the f is his mouth? I can't quite make out what's happening there. Let's hope it's makeup. If it's not, then, I'm sorry. Tinder's not gonna be your friend. Julia was a clever girl. Julia knew she was smart. She was one of those clever children, the kind of child who figures out early on that parents aren't all powerful and all knowing. The first time she realized this was when she got scared. There had been a noise in her room coming from under the bed or from the closet. Julia ran down the hall crying, "Mummy, Daddy." "What's wrong, honey?" "I heard a monster," Julia glubbed. She expected them to comfort her, or roll their eyes or get annoyed. Instead, they jumped up immediately and raced to her bedroom, where they checked under the bed, inspected the closet, and tested the window lock. They poked, prodded, and secured every inch. Julia caught on quickly. She knew what they were doing. By taking her fears seriously, they were showing the little girl that she was safe and loved. They had probably read about it in some book, but the lesson Julia learned was that she had power. Thereafter, waking her parents became a nightly event. Julia would scream and cry. They would rush to her bedroom and Julia would hide her grin behind tears. But not once did they ever complain. One night she could stand it no longer and she burst out laughing when Daddy fell down while examining the light fixture, as if a monster could fit up there. "What's so funny?" he asked. "You," Julia smirked. "You always believe me." Daddy wasn't angry, he just looked at Mummy. "Once," he said quietly, "just once we didn't believe your brother." And Julia, as an only child, did not sleep well that night. Woo! Okay, let me tell you, when this story started, I didn't know where it was going. I had my doubts halfway through. I also got tired from reading it, but it finished strong because Julia had a brother and Julia's brother died because of the monster in his room. And Julia's not taking seriously. She's using her parents, crying wolf. But really, she could be next.
About a group of campers who were camping in a mountain area. They heard a noise in the distance. They described it as an animal dying? Ugh. It went on for a few hours, this moaning/wail. In the morning, they all left, and later on during the week/day, they heard a news story about 2 hikers who had gone missing in the area they were camping. They both fell off a cliff. One died on impact, while the other stayed alive for hours and then later died. They think the moaning was the second hiker who was still alive. I literally got chills. I want to cry. That is so sad. Like, they're just camping, and they're like, wow, that's the sound of an animal dying. No, you literally heard the last couple of hours of this woman, or this person.
What the f is this? Well, I'm confused because, first of all, it looks like someone's exploring an abandoned building, or it's like some kind of urban explorer, but I don't understand why it's edited like it's I'm on drugs. That's what I'm concerned about, because it's edited to be like some dark web. The phone call, a premonition of death. Sometimes some true scary stories do not involve an attack at all. This terrifying true tale is of a woman who often experienced strange apparitions and premonitions. Her husband was at work one day when his wife called and told him to check on his friend Danny. She told her husband that he needed to call and ask him if he and his family were alright. When her husband asked why he needed to call his friend, his wife replied that she had had a bad dream about them, but could not recall what had taken place in said dream. After they hung up, her husband called his friend Danny and told him about his wife's bad dream. Slightly amused, Danny told his friend to thank his wife for her concern, but that he and his family were just fine. When the woman's husband called and told her this, she seemed disinclined to believe him. The following day, Danny called his friend, clearly very upset. Turned out a half hour after speaking with him about his wife's dream, Danny's uncle who lived in Florida had called him. His uncle informed him that Danny's son had hung himself. It's just like sad at the end. I just wasn't expecting it to get sad. I was expecting Danny to have committed mass murder. I thought Danny was going to hang up with the phone and just kill his family. But no, the son just bite himself. That's all I can say.
The guy who tried heroin for the first time and told everyone he was going to do it again and just did it because he was bored. Called everyone an idiot for telling him he was going to get addicted. Then a month later posted about how he was addicted and started shooting up. It was very sad. Updated posts for a few years, and I believe last I knew he was clean. But he went from a good job to homeless addict, and the whole thing was documented. Oh my god, that hit me too. That is hard. Like, literally everyone was telling him, no, you're gonna get addicted. He's like, psh, no, I'm not. And then he literally did and documented it all. That is crazy. That is absolutely crazy.
What's happening? Oh, Who's that? Who's that? What is happening? Is there someone coming up the stairs? I don't want to watch anymore. I didn't like that because it was so nonchalant. And like the person filming didn't really give too much. Like they were just like, okay, there's someone there, turned around, there's someone there. They didn't really react. They were moving very slowly. There was some sort of child there, and then they just walk up to it and then the child's gone and then it's down the stairs. It's like if I saw that I'd be out the door so fast. I'd be having a heart attack while I'm running, trying to escape. The man who lives above you is the quiet type. How lucky you are to live in an apartment underneath someone so courteous. Seems he never drops anything, seeing as you never hear any loud thumps coming from the rooms above yours. He is even kind enough to keep the volume on his radio and TV too low to disrupt you. Come to think of it, you had not seen or spoken to him. You would think no one lived up there. Quite a big change from living below a batch of rowdy teens. He is terribly kind as well. Within the first week of you living there, he invites you up to dinner and offers his services as a plumber in case you have any leaky faucets. The maintenance crew at the complex is awfully incompetent. You can't have it all, I suppose. He didn't even get offended when you told him you were far too busy and didn't know him well enough to dine with him. He simply smiled, gave you his number, and let you know the offer stood as long as you lived below him. One night you decide to take him up on his offer, seeing as how you're tired of the hot pockets your busy schedule allows. You call, uncertain about whether or not he is home due to the utter silence from above, and he answers and he invites you to join him upstairs. He has made far too much chicken piccata to eat himself. You climb the stairs and enter his apartment. It's impeccable. You've already managed to spill some Coke Zero in the carpet. In his 6 years living there, he has left no stains. Dinner smells delightful. He already has a place set for you, almost as if he was expecting you sooner. Astounded by his kindness, you seat yourself and begin eating. Almost immediately you feel a bit drowsy, overworked perhaps. He smiles and watches your muscles slowly fail you. The sauce dribbling out the mouth you can't hold closed. You start to slide from your chair. You can almost feel the floor meeting your body, but no, he catches you. No sound is made. He carries you down the hall ever so quietly. You're growing too unconscious to worry, so rest assured no one will hear a thing. You won't even hit the floor. All makes sense now. There's no noise. Because he's a gentleman and he catches you. He will never let you hit the floor because you're in his arms. What a guy. No, this is creepy. This is why I don't accept any invites from strangers. Sometimes I don't even accept invites from friends because you don't know if that day they've decided to flip a switch, you know? Don't trust anyone. You can only trust yourself. But at the end of the day, you can't even trust yourself. You can't trust anything that has a brain because the brain is dangerous.
Afraid of Velcro commented. First of all, afraid of Velcro? Really? Anyways, I can't find it, but it was on a thread asking everyone to confess their secrets. Oh, I don't like this already. What did this person do? One guy wrote about how his job was to do the safety checks. Oh my god, I already know this is gonna be bad. And math for trains that transport very dangerous chemicals. He said that he's heard voices for years and they're always telling him he should intentionally make mistakes and let people die from his mistakes. And he learned whenever the voices went quiet to recheck his work. Every single time they went quiet, he'd made a mistake, and people probably would have been killed if he hadn't rechecked. He was too afraid to tell anyone about the voices because he would lose his job. And he was also afraid of losing that internal warning. My description doesn't do it justice, but it was sad and terrifying all at once. Oh my god, that was a lot to take in. Are you kidding me? So this guy literally has like demonic voices in his head, like, yes, kill the people, mess up the chemicals, right? Thank God he doesn't listen to them. But it's so weird how all of a sudden they go quiet and he's like, oh snap, I think I appeased the demons. I need to go back and check my work. And every time he goes back and checks, he was right. He would have killed people. Afraid of Velcro? No. I'm afraid of this mano.
Throwaway said, 2.5 years ago, I was in a dire financial strait, so I sold my home to keep my struggling business afloat. I neglected to tell the owners that they have an 800 square foot bunker on the property that I built about 7 years ago. The bunker that I've called home since I sold it. The entrance to it is well hidden, but I still come and go every early/very late in the day. I'm a single man who keeps to himself. I'm now in a situation where I could move somewhere else, but I love this hidden paradise so much. Okay, well, what the Essentially, this guy sold his house. Strangers bought the house, but he just failed to mention that he was going to continue living on the property in an underground bunker. To be fair, like, as long as he's no longer got keys to the main house and he just lives in his bunker, by all means, stay in the bunker. He's causing no harm. He's in dire financial straits. Give the man a break. My wife and I were driving up through northern Arizona on Highway 89 between Flagstaff and Page. It was about 1 a.m. as we were on third shift at the time and often drove at night to avoid traffic. I saw a few sets of eyes glowing in my headlights a little ways up the road, so I let off the gas, slowing down to avoid hitting an animal on the road. When we drove by, we saw several dogs, coyotes, on the side of the road, and I hit the gas and drove by. After we passed, my wife said one of them was running next to the car, and I looked over and saw it as well, probably 20 feet off the shoulder of the road. I floored it and looked over, and it stood on its hind legs. That's the only way I can describe it, and kept pace with us for a couple of seconds before turning away from the road and disappearing. The whole event probably lasted no more than 10 seconds, but it was seriously the most terrifying 10 seconds of my life. This was probably 20 years ago, and we still rarely talk about it. Creepy stuff. I mean, what that animal was, it clearly was not a coyote. Coyotes don't go on the hind legs. It was probably the animal from the ritual. Can I remember its name? No. It's some kind of Norwegian name. You can look it up. But it's probably some kind of demonic creature, hooves pointing back, big things on its head, ready to kill, a demon.
This one is from Disposable Elaine. My grandma told me that after her husband died, if she left the bedroom door open when she slept, she had dreams that he was coming into her bedroom, but when she shut the door, the dreams went away. Shortly before she died, she told me, now he comes in even when the door is shut. What does that even mean? Was her husband haunting her? Did she kill her husband and that's why he's haunting her? Just saying. Just saying. Maybe that's why. Now he comes in even when the door is shut. Maybe he's coming in to retrieve her, like your time is up kind of thing. Retrieving her and taking her to the afterlife with him. Unless he had sinister intentions and, you know, she's a murderer and he's coming back for revenge. Just saying.
This is a skinwalker, I think. I mean, I cannot confirm whether this is real or not. This seems to be from a movie, I guess. I never knew where this picture originated. I always thought it was just like someone had snapped it on a walk, you know? There was just someone there. But it's supposed to be a skinwalker, and skinwalkers are real? But no, I feel like skinwalkers are legit. Like the Rake, legit. Slenderman, legit. This new old house. We bought an old house, my boyfriend and I. He's in charge of the new construction, converting the kitchen into the master bedroom, for instance, while I'm on wallpaper removal duty. The previous owner papered every wall and ceiling. Removing it is so brutal but oddly satisfying. The best feeling is getting a long peel, similar to your skin when you're peeling from a sunburn. I don't know about you, but I kind of make a game of peeling, on the hunt for the longest piece before it rips. God, are you fucking boring. Under a corner section of paper in every room is a person's name and date. Curiosity got the best of me one night when I googled one of the names and discovered the person was actually a missing person. The missing date matching the date under the wallpaper. The next day I made a list of all the names and dates. Sure enough, each name was a missing person with dates to match. We notified the police, who naturally sent out the crime scene team. I have heard one text say, "Yup, it's human." Human. What's human? Ma'am, where is the material you removed from the walls already? This isn't wallpaper you were removing. She got what she wanted. She wasn't removing wallpaper. She was removing human skin. That's why the peel was so nice. That's why she could relate to the peel. But that sucks. That would be a scary discovery to make.
This is from The Painted Door. I was camping with friends. It was early in the season and we were the only ones in that section of the park. One morning, I stayed in my sleeping bag in the tent while everyone else went to the facilities, which were a bit of a walk away. I dozed off again. I was awoken by someone grabbing my foot through the tent. Lord help me, no thank you. I was groggy and assumed it was a friend playing a joke and kicked and said, My foot was grabbed again and pulled, and I kicked again pretty hard, not afraid to kick my friend who was now pissing me off. He stopped and I dozed off again. I woke up again probably less than half an hour later and heard my friends in the distance, returning. When they got back, I asked them who was the one trying to wake me up. They had no idea what I was talking about, honestly. I told them about something grabbing my foot through the tent, and they thought I was trying to tell a story to scare them. I still have no idea what it was. It wasn't even dark out at the time. You are lucky. You are lucky. The fact that you could kick away this, it could have been a creature like a Sasquatch, just saying. Could have been a Sasquatch trying to grab you. Or it could have been a killer trying to grab you and take you. Or a kidnapper trying to grab you and take you. The fact that you just kick them away like that, you're lucky. Also, if people do that to me when I'm sleeping, I automatically open my eyes to like see what's up. Like I'm super cautious. I'm like, bam, who's in my room, you know? But this person just was like sleeping and was like, can you just stop? Can you just F off, please? Like you're really bothering me. I'm trying to sleep. And the person was like, damn, okay, I'll go take a look at the other tent. Okay, I'll go kidnap somebody else. Jeez.
Okay, junior year of high school, 16-year-old me taking the subway home noticed this large man with a shaved head and creepy smile sitting across from me, just staring at me like I was a juicy steak. Feeling uncomfortable, I get up and move to the next car. I sit down, shaved head follows a minute later and again sits across from me. I decided to move to another car, not the next one, but 2 away, figuring he'd leave me well left alone. Not so, he followed. I noticed that we are nearing my stop, so I get up and make the move to the next car and proceed to get out of the car onto the platform as the doors close. Shaved head was looking out the door at me, banging on the door, wiggling his tongue at me. I nearly train pulled out, I dashed out the station and grabbed the first bus out. I felt I was just minutes away from being an after-school special. That's terrifying. Like, it is true that the strangest people that walk the earth ride the subway. I've never met stranger people than I have on the subway. That's why when you get on the subway, just make sure you're like in a group with other people, like strangers. Like when I used to have to take the underground in London, oh my god, the weirdest people there. So I would just like never look at people, never make eye contact, always just look down and then surround yourself with other people that's seemingly normal and harmless. And then just never like seem like you're alone. The soldier. A story is told about a soldier who was finally coming home after having fought in Vietnam. He called his parents from San Francisco. Mom and Dad, I'm coming home, but I have a favor to ask. I have a friend, I'd like to bring him home. Sure, they replied, we'd love to meet him. There's something you should know, the son continued. He was hurt pretty badly in fighting. He stepped on a landmine and lost an arm and a leg. He has nowhere else to go and I want him to come live with us. I'm sorry to hear that, son. Maybe we can help him find somewhere to live. No, Mom and Dad, I want him to live with us. Son, said his father, you don't know what you're asking. Someone with such a handicap would be a terrible burden on us. We have our own lives to live and we can't let something like this interfere with our lives. I think you should just come home and forget about this guy. He'll find a way to live on his own. At that point, the son hung up the phone. The parents had nothing more from him. A few days later, they received a call from the San Francisco police. Their son had died after falling from a building, they were told. The police believed it was suicide. The grief-stricken parents flew to San Francisco and were taken to the city morgue to identify the body of their son. They recognized him, but to their horror they also discovered something they didn't know. Their son had only one arm and one leg. Oh, that's actually quite sad, this one, because the son had called to see how accepting they would be of someone with a handicap, and they weren't accepting, so he didn't think they would take him back, and therefore he jumped off a building. That's sad.
This is from Nixie9. Once I was alone in the house and heard an elderly lady say, "Hello!" in a crackly voice. That was my old lady crackly voice. I froze, freaked out a bit, but then manned up and gave my own crackly "hello" back, only to hear the same voice again. Long story short, turns out the cat I was babysitting for my friend can mimic human speech. Like, who the cats could do that? Is it a demon cat? Cause cats can't do that. Cats can't do that. They're not parrots. If you had a parrot, I'd be like, okay, it's just the bird. But a freaking cat speaking back to you? That's creepy, but also really funny. Like, imagine you're babysitting a cat and you're like, excuse me, you didn't tell me that your cat talks, okay? That was not in the babysitting contract. Take your cat back. It's a human that got transformed into a cat.
Okay, so this happened to me last summer when I was back at my parents' house during the holidays. It was around 3 a.m. and I was in my room on my computer when I got a call from my sister. Now that was already a little bit weird since my sister's room is just down the hallway from mine and she could have just came in my room. I went to pick up and the call ended as soon as I reached the phone. I figured that she wanted to speak with me, so I got up and went to her room. As soon as I reached her door, she started screaming that someone was in the room with her, so I busted in and of course nobody was there. After she stopped crying, she told me that she woke up and saw a dark shadow just centimeters from her face, and that's when she screamed. So I told her that she called me. She told me that her phone is not in her room and that she was sleeping. Sure enough, her phone is actually downstairs in her purse. The weird part is that I have the log of her call on my phone, but she doesn't. Never managed to explain this one. I can't explain the phone call. That's I mean, the shadow, we all dream, you know? I've had it before where I've woken up in the night and I'm still kind of half dreaming and I saw a f***ing spider on my wall, like a giant one. And then I was like, I did this. And then you know when you're so scared and you slowly start to reveal your eyes to see if it's still there, and nothing was there. And then I've had other times where I've woken up in the night and there's like, just like a floating head turning and facing me. Sunday. This all started about a week ago in our little apartment. It started innocently enough. I went to bed before my husband, so I was under the covers when he slipped in. Not yet fully asleep, just under the covers. I have a habit of laying on my stomach with the covers covering my head and just enough of a hole to allow me to breathe. I think this started when I was a child and thought the monsters were visiting me at night, but it has remained a habit even though I have long since lost my fear of the dark. As he moved around pulling blankets to get comfortable, I heard him say, "Why are you smiling?" I lifted my head and asked, "Who are you talking to?" My husband then screamed and jumped out of the bed. It took a while for him to calm down, but I finally got the story out of him. He had turned over and saw me sitting up with my head propped up on my hand and smiling creepily at him. He had asked, "Why are you smiling?" At which point I, the real one, sat up and started talking to him, making the first image of me disappear completely. I laughed, saying that he was imagining things. We both went back to bed and thought nothing more about the incident. Honestly, I think he was imagining it too. I bet it's that, you know, sometimes when you wake up in the night and you look at something and then it takes on a different shape. You know, we've all been there. I've got an Albert Einstein painting in my room and sometimes when I look at him, he's smiling at me. But in the picture, he's not smiling. But it's just because when I'm sleeping, my mind creates different pictures. Like once I woke up and there was a giant spider on my wall, but it wasn't there. My brain put it there.
This is from Captain Kershaw. I spoke to the ghost of my great-grandmother on the telephone. Whoa, that's a good opening line. I didn't recognize her voice because she had died over 60 years before I was born. But a very elderly sounding lady called and calmly told me to tell Essie it is time to come home now. I kept telling her she had the wrong number, but she was adamant that I pass along the message. 2 hours later, my grandmother's assisted living home called and told us that my grandmother, Esther, had passed away in her sleep. Her mother had died when she was 16 and Essie was my grandmother's childhood nickname. This was 25 years ago, and thinking about it still makes the hair on my neck stand on end. Wow. I am mind blown. Your grandmother literally called you. You were right. I don't even know what to say. She literally... Oh, it was the grandmother telling them... That is heavy stuff. That is insane. Like your great-grandmother was like, "Come to me, my child, come." That is so sad.
No, I don't want this. I don't want this. I don't want this. I hate this. No. Oh, that's it. Okay, you gotta go back. Go back to the demon baby because I can't watch this on a loop. Okay, that was horrible because there was for sure a tarantula. Okay. That's a spider. There's a spider in the back. And then that's a fucking worm. Like the longest worm I've ever seen. That looks like a worm that like goes into your gut and then makes you but makes you skinny. Like what's it doing to the dead spider? Because that's a dead tarantula, right? And then this longest worm that's all coiled up. And what's it trying to do? Like make sweet love? I don't know. And why is it so foamy? I'm not sure if anybody out there can read this. I don't think I'm on the same world as you all are any longer, but I also don't think I've entirely left. I can sometimes read what the other me has written, but sometimes I can't. I don't know why. I did see that he described what happened to us yesterday, so I have no need to write that all out again. When I re-entered the world, I was standing by the front door of my house, except it was my wife who came to the door this time. Hey, good to see you. She hugged me. Too bad your flight was detoured. I had dinner waiting for you last night. I paused for a moment. So is everything okay? Did anything strange happen? She looked at me peculiarly. No, what do you mean? I shrugged. Oh, nothing. Maybe everything really was going back to normal. Which is very strange. When I was with my other self, wherever we were, I could feel that something was wrong with this world. Or maybe just that there was something wrong with me. But there I was and everything seemed okay at first. Oh wait, my wife said, something weird did happen last night. Oh, what's that? I replied. I had no idea what she would say. It could be anything. Well, your friend Chris came by last night, said that you called him, asked him to come check on me. He said you sounded panicked. Why did you do that? I didn't know what to say. I just had a bad feeling, I don't know. She laughed and shook her head. Well, come in, why don't you? Later that night, something strange happened again. I woke up in the middle of the night and my wife was talking in her sleep. She was mumbling, but I made out the words. I saw you when I looked out the window. I saw you. Then she sat up staring at me in the dark. That one does not make sense to me. This story is all over the place. I won't sleep tonight because my brain hurts from being confused. Who's Chris? Why is he involved? The husband is somewhere and nowhere. He is with his wife, but he's not with his wife. There's two of him. How are there two of him? He's inside but outside. You know? This is very Twin Peaks. Nothing makes sense. Time-space continuum. There's a rift. I'll get to the bottom of it.
This is from Souvois. I'm not even gonna say that. I think I'm saying their name wrong. Anyway, I saw a confession to a murder. Oh my god, he lived in Hamilton, Ontario or Kitchener, Ontario. Oh, that's a little close. Then fled to Buffalo, New York. Before he fled, he wrote out what he was thinking prior to anyone knowing he murdered his girlfriend. By the time I read his post, he was wanted for murder. It was really sick reading his confession written right after such a horrific crime, as he tried to rationalize it to himself and the broader Reddit community. I bet that would have been hard to read, like you said. Oh man, what gets me is that sometimes killers, like Joe Goldberg from You, think that their killings are rationalized, that they did it for a specific reason. In this case, I don't know what it was, but on the show You know, he thinks he's doing it to protect his girlfriend. Spoiler alert. But seriously, it's a common thing for murderers that they literally think that like they're helping out society, they're getting rid of, you know, sinners or whatever this person's reason was. It's crazy.
Oh my god, it's a cake like filled with tongues and decorated with I didn't see the teeth. That's horrific. Worse if they're real. They kind of look real, to be honest. I mean, no, it looks like fondant. That's fine. Oh, you I really, I'd rather eat. I feel sick. I would rather eat that whole cake, teeth and tongues, than look at that spider worm again. Oh, no, I'm only gonna look at myself in the monitor. I can't acknowledge anything that's going on. Chris, why are you such a today? Please stop drinking water. All water. The first thing you need to know about me is that I am a serial killer. The second thing you need to know about me is that I am a sociopath. So when I say I'm a bad person, it shouldn't really surprise you at all because it's probably the only true thing I'll ever say. But what if I told you there is something worse out there than people like me? Something so evil it knows how to hide in plain sight. I'm just a person, and if you're careful enough, you can avoid me. But where do you run to when the thing that haunts you is the thing you rely on the most? The thing that keeps you alive? Water. What's wrong with the water? Elisa Lam was in the water. Did you watch that? Elisa Lam in the Cecil Hotel. She was in the water and then everyone drank the water, so they drank her dead body water. Anyway, what's wrong with the water? I think water's fine. I rarely drink it. I mostly drink alcohol. Actually, that's a lie these days, but I did drink rum last night. And whiskey. Okay. Is it just like a raccoon or something? I can't tell. Is it something?
Into the face?
Oh wait. Those two are, oh, it looks like a Trevor Henderson creature again. Yeah, it looks like a Trevor Henderson thing, and it's got the arms, one's like on the wall, and then one's on the fence, and it's just like, I'm here. That's what it's saying, as it rests its head on the table outside.